the story of the current war in Ukraine is the eastward expansion of NATO and scaring the shit out of the Russians with NATO expansion, which is totally unnecessary, doesn't help the United States. NATO itself doesn't help the United States. And so I'm not pro-Russian for saying that. I'm pro-American for saying that. And I think that's a really compelling story because it's true. He did not tell that story. He told some other story that I didn't fully understand. Again, I'm not Russian. He's speaking to multiple audiences around the world. I'm not sure what he hoped to achieve by that interview. I will never know. But I did think that, like, this guy is not good at telling his story. And I also think, honestly, on the basis of a lot, I mean, I know this, very isolated during COVID. Very. We keep hearing that he's dying of this or that disease. He's got ALS. I mean, I don't know. I'm not his doctor. There's a ton of lying about it. I know that. But one thing that's not a lie is that he was cloistered away during COVID. I know this. And only dealing with 2 or 3 people. And that makes you weird. It's so important to deal with a lot of people, to have your views challenged. And you see this with leaders who stay in power too long. He's been in power 24 years, effectively. He's done it. There's been upsides, I think, for Russia, the Russian economy, Russian life expectancy, but there are definitely downsides. And one of them is you get weird and you get autocratic. This is why we have term limits. Very few kings don't get crazy in old age.
Yeah, and you said some of this also in your post-Kremlin discussion while you're in Moscow still, which was very impressive to me, that you can just openly criticize. This is great.
Well, I don't care.
I understand this. I just wish you did some more of that also with the supermarket video, and perhaps some more of that with Putin in front of you. But
Putin in front of me,
I understand.
Like, I'm such a good person.
I know you see it as virtue signaling.
Yeah, it is. Have you seen some of the interview he did with some NBC News child?
Yes, I understand. Oh. So I think you're just so annoyed by how bad journalists are that you just didn't want to be them.
Yeah, that's probably right,
and
actually.
Some great conversations will involve some challenging, like you were confused about denazification.
Well, first of all, I accept your criticism and I accept it as true that in some way I'm probably pivoting against what I dislike. And I have such contempt for American journalists on the basis of so much knowledge that I probably was like, I don't want to be like that. Fair. That is a kind of defensiveness and dumb. So you're right. As for the Nazi thing, I was like, I really felt like we were just speaking so far past each other that we would never like come to, I was like, I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. And especially when I decided or concluded that he really meant it, I was like, that's just too freaking weird to me. It's almost like, yeah, I can think of many other examples where you're interviewing someone else, say something that's like, I was interviewing a guy one time and he started talking about the Black Israelites and we're the real Jews. And I was like, and it wasn't on camera, but I was like, it was so far out to me that I was like, we'll never kind of understand common terms on that.